All right, huge news for Ripple here, and then it will obviously trickle down into XRP, but Southeast Asia's largest bank, DBS, values Ripple at $11.3 billion. The IPO is expected in 2026. Now, there is some rumors that this is going to happen. However, we do know Brad Garlinghouse has come out on his own multiple times and said that he's not going to be doing a actual IPO, but is he telling the truth, or is he just trying to keep it on the down low? And Ripple's potential IPO, as speculated, could be a landmark event with historical data from Access IPOs noting its valuation spiked post-2024 election, yet its inclusion of XRP's assets remains unclear. So will their escrow be included in their valuation? Fueling debates about the true market cap established at $150 billion by some analysts due to the escrow holdings. So if Ripple goes public with an IPO, I am definitely going to be getting in on that stock. Let me know down below, would you be interested in a Ripple stock if they IPO? And speaking of Bitcoin, when I woke up this morning, the craziest news happened. Obviously, this wallet that's potentially connected to Satoshi, still no one knows. Turns out that there was 8 wallets connected to the same person, did 8 transactions of 10,000 Bitcoin, transferring over $8 billion today. And there were no test transactions, which is absolutely nuts. So let's cover this here. But before we jump into that, take a look at this. Bitcoin whales have dumped over 500,000 Bitcoin worth $50 billion this past year, while institutions absorbed 900,000 Bitcoin, signaling a control shift in the Bitcoin market per Bloomberg. So is Bitcoin going to be decentralized still, or are these mega corporations accumulating all of it and going to create a pseudo technocracy through Bitcoin? And on top of all those crazy transfers, Satoshi Nakamoto also just received to its specific Satoshi Nakamoto wallet 20,000. So someone donated $20,000 in Bitcoin to Satoshi's wallet. A dormant wallet wakes up that's been inactive for 14 years, transferred 10,000 Bitcoin. Whale Alerts was absolutely on fire this morning, documenting each one of these transfers as it was happening. Who bought 80,000 Bitcoin? This is from back in the day. Was it a miner? Because it's kind of random that these wallets had 10,000 each, but multiple wallets, likely controlled by a single individual, have been activated after more than a decade, all within 24 hours. The coins have been moved to a fresh address, pointing unmistakably to what appears to be the largest over-the-counter deal the market has ever seen. A whale of this size doesn't broadcast intentions to sell by lighting up dormant wallets all at once, unless it was planned, strategic, surgical, and already done behind the closed doors. Something big just happened. That's correct. The real question now is who's buying $8 billion worth of Bitcoin? Well, you know, there is this little bill that got signed today, and there was a bill that got signed or executive order that got signed a little while ago stating that there was going to be a Bitcoin strategic reserve. What if some of the money that was allocated into the big, beautiful bill ended up buying $8 billion worth of Bitcoin? And speaking of the Bitcoin price today, on the 4th of July, if you were not paying attention, remember July 4th of 2020 when XRP hit 1776 cents, gold hit $1,776, silver hit $17.76, and XLM hit the reserve of 1776, or the reverse rather, 0.6771. Well, Bitcoin hit this morning $107,760. Happy 4th of July. Now, why is this number important? Well, the United States, 4th of July, comes at 1776, the establishment of the United States. How is this simulation working this so well? Like, this is absolutely nuts. Obviously, this is all programmed in some sort of way, but $107,760, the price of Bitcoin today on 4th of July. Also, the craziness, the back and forth, the arguing, the this, the that, the votes, the this, the that, and the bill of the big, beautiful bill gets passed officially yesterday and signed. When? 4th of July, Independence Day. How does this all happen on the days that it's supposed to happen on? And one of the best posts, in my personal opinions, that came out today through all of this news, you know, the final Bitcoin billionaire address just moved 1.1 billion, then it became 8 billion. But take a look at this. You know how people have been LARPing around over a decade that Bitcoin is not private? That you need Monero or Zcash to keep your anonymity when it comes to dealing with crypto. But then somebody sends $8.6 billion and nobody on earth can tell who it is. Nobody knows who this person is that actually sent it. Now, what is interesting? This is a good point here, right? Airmass makes a very good point saying that on the surface, nobody knows who this is. However, this person is potentially tracked to where they are going to have to pay taxes on this $8.6 billion. Now, what's also interesting, they have not sold the $8.6 billion officially on an exchange. They could have just simply moved the coins and still maintaining the coins somewhere else. But if they sold it, there's going to be capital gains tax, which makes me wonder why they would do it right now when there's potential in the future that there will be no capital gains on crypto and Bitcoin, which is why I'm thinking when I was going through my head and I was evaluating this situation, like if you moved $8 billion and you had to pay $4 billion in taxes, unless you already were planning on making this move and you were no longer living in the United States, you could have moved 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago to a country that doesn't have a crypto tax, so you'd pay no capital gains living there. That's a potential. Or maybe there was an agreement made that through the sale of these tokens to the United States for their Bitcoin strategic reserve, that there would be no tax involved in that. So lots of weird things going on. It's still all a mystery, but this is a great point. No one knows who this person is. So it is literally and anonymously, so good point there from Airmass as well. And on top of all this, the craziness is connecting back to potentially Ripple, because Satoshi's last known message was in April of 2011. May of 2011, David Schwartz starts building the XRP ledger. August of 2011, Arthur Britto joins Twitter. And now, 14 years later, Britto appears. Remember, Arthur Britto just did this random post just recently, finally, after 14 years of being away from X. And then 14-year-old dormant wallets on Bitcoin wallets just moved. XRP is the final version of Bitcoin. So here's another crazy mystery. What if Arthur Britto was the one holding all of those crypto tokens, the Bitcoin tokens that were just transferred, and they're going to be transferred to what, though? Right? Why would Arthur Britto be transferring those now? Is he selling them? Is he still going to continue to hold them? But the interesting thing, the post that Arthur Britto did do on his X.com account was a smiley face with no face. And that is also being attached now to the Bearable Guy 123, and all of his posts where he has the king person, the king character. It also is a face with no mouth. Again, here's another image from the Bearable Guy, the king with no mouth. Now, he does have a beard, but usually you would have some sort of mouth. Look, all of his characters have a mouth, even the robot. We go back to the scene of playing poker. No mouth. You go on and on and on. All of the images on Bearable Guy 123, the king has no mouth. So is it potential that the king in this character would be Arthur Britto? Then we also have the mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, we know that Arthur Britto lives. We know that David Schwartz knows who he is. We don't have any images of him, we being the general public. Maybe somebody out there, maybe one of you have seen him. No one has a picture of him posted on the internet. But then we also have Satoshi Nakamoto, no pictures. No one knows who he is. So two crazy mysterious figures that no one actually has seen. No one actually knows whether Satoshi is gone. What if Satoshi is Britto? What if Britto is Satoshi? And if that is the case, that would be absolutely nuts. Arthur Britto would probably be one of the richest people in the entire world when you combine Satoshi's Bitcoin holdings plus Britto's XRP holdings. Absolutely nuts as far as that goes. And in fact, when you take a look right here, Insight, if Bitcoin hits $113,000, over $5 billion in short positions could be liquidated. And as you know, this market is run by market makers. Their job is to go up and eat up all the liquidity up and down, up and down. That's why the markets do what they do. So there is definitely a likelihood price recovers from this area, moves up into the 113 range, liquidates all of these longs, and then we would see another drop to the lows.